For decades, NASA explored planets, stars, and distant worlds, while the world believed every discovery was shared openly. But hidden deep inside NASA's archives were sealed folders, restricted documents, and classified reports that no one outside the agency was allowed to see. Recently, some of these old records were quietly unsealed, and what they contain is more shocking than anyone expected. Strange signals, unknown materials, and a structure on Mars that should not exist. These files reveal evidence of something discovered long ago, something NASA chose not to share. Why were these pages hidden? What did NASA really find? And why were the records locked away for more than 20 years? Tonight, we open the unsealed files and expose the hidden discovery NASA never wanted the world to know. This is Unsealed. NASA records expose a hidden discovery. For many years, NASA has been known as an open space agency. They explore distant planets, send rovers to Mars, and share thousands of images with the world. People trust NASA because they believe everything is transparent. But what most people don't know is that NASA also keeps classified records, restricted folders, and sealed documents that never appear on public websites. Part 1 begins with something unexpected. A set of old NASA records once sealed and hidden are suddenly unclassified. No warning, no announcement, just quietly released among thousands of routine files. At first, no one notices. The documents look boring, technical, long, and full of numbers. But one small detail changes everything. A researcher scrolling through the files finds a folder titled Project Ares, Unusual Findings, Internal Use Only. This folder was sealed for almost 25 years. The researcher opens the first document. It looks like a standard mission report, but after a few lines, he notices several paragraphs marked Restricted Segment, removed before public release. These segments are now visible. The text is no longer blacked out, no longer hidden. The first unsealed sentence reads, Recorded structure does not match natural geological patterns. A structure, where? On Earth, on Mars, on another moon. The next lines reveal the truth. Location. Western quadrant of Mars region previously believed empty. This one line changes everything. For many years, NASA told the world that Mars was mostly dust, rocks, and empty land. But this unsealed report suggests NASA found something unusual, something structured, something that did not form naturally. Researcher continues, reading. The report describes a rover detecting a reflective object buried under a thin layer of Martian soil. It was smooth, curved, and made of a material not found anywhere on Mars. The rover's camera took photos, but those photos were removed from public release for decades now. They are finally visible. The images show a round metallic shape, not shiny like polished metal, but smooth like manufactured material. It has faint lines crossing its surface, almost like symbols or markings. The report says, surface design suggests intentional construction. This statement is shocking. Intentional means something or someone built it. Next part of the unsealed file is even stranger. It reveals that the object was hollow, and inside it, the rover detected a pattern of electromagnetic pulses, repeating at regular intervals. The repeating pulse is not natural. Nature does not send regular signals. Machines do. Technology does. At this point, the researcher realizes he has discovered something huge. He continues, reading through the restored lines. The report mentions NASA's reaction to the discovery. Findings must be held for further analysis. Public release is not advised. Why would NASA hide this? Were they afraid of panic? Were they unsure of what they found? Or did they believe the world wasn't ready? The report continues. Object was moved slightly by environmental shifts. Internal signature changed briefly before stabilizing. The internal signature changed. Does that mean the object was still functioning? Still active? Still alive? Another line answers the question. Emission suggests dormant technology, possibly inactive for centuries. Dormant technology? Something ancient? Something waiting. The deeper the researcher reads, the more impossible it seems. NASA found something on Mars years ago and kept it silent. The second part of the file includes communication logs between NASA teams. Team A? Structure is older than expected. No signs of erosion. Team B? Could this be artificial? Team A? Classification required. Do not discuss outside mission group. This means the discovery was immediately classified. Everyone on the team was told not to talk about it. Then another document also unsealed adds even more mystery. Material composition unknown. Does not match any Earth alloy. Not consistent with Mars minerals. The object wasn't from Mars. And it wasn't from Earth. One paragraph stands out above the rest. It reads, Preliminary conclusion. The structure may be a remnant of non-human origin. This is the closest NASA ever came to admitting contact with something beyond Earth. But the report does not stop there. The next page describes a strange event that happened a few hours after the rover touched the object. The rover's camera captured a short burst of light from beneath the surface layer. The report describes the light as, not sunlight, not reflection, internal illumination. The rover recorded the light for less than 4 seconds before it faded again. Scientists on the team wrote, possible activation response triggered by contact. Did the object respond to the rover? Did it detect something near it, or did it react on its own? The unsealed notes also include speculation from NASA engineers. If active, device may contain stored information. Structure resembles a data capsule, purpose unknown. A data capsule, something carrying information. A final line in the file warns, further analysis, suspended mission reassigned, data moved to restricted archive. This is where the file ends. NASA stopped the investigation. The rover was sent somewhere else. The object was never mentioned again in public reports. But now, because the records were unsealed, the truth has resurfaced. The researcher who found the file posts a summary online. Within hours, millions see it. The story spreads across social media. NASA found something. On Mars years ago, metal object with unknown symbols. Internal light activation, dormant. Technology, non-human origin. The world is shocked. Some believe it, some deny it, some fear what it means. If NASA found ancient technology on Mars, who built it? How old is it? What was it used for? And why did they hide it? Part 1 revealed the shocking truth. NASA's unsealed records showed that something artificial, ancient, and clearly non-human was discovered on Mars and quietly hidden. But Part 2 goes even deeper, because once the files became public, people didn't just read them, they connected them, and what they found was far more mysterious than a simple metallic object buried in Martian soil. The story continues when a group of independent researchers, working from different countries, notices a strange detail in one of the unsealed pages. The document mentions Region 7Q, the place where the unknown structure was found. That same region appears in older NASA reports also with redactions, but for different missions. That this means NASA revisited the location multiple times, but never told the world. Why? The group continues digging and finds an older mission file from 1998. Long before the public had high-quality Mars images, the file mentions unusual ground density readings. It doesn't say anything about a structure, but the numbers indicate something solid beneath the ground, something engineers could not explain. Back then, NASA called it instrument malfunction, but now, with the unsealed records, it looks like NASA knew something was there years before the rover discovered it. The next document the group uncovers is even more alarming. It shows a list of items moved to a facility called Deep Storage, Non-Earth Materials Division. The list contains vague names like Sample A, Metallic, Segment Sample B, Carbon Trace Sample C, Residue from Internal Chamber. This raises a huge question. Did NASA physically bring pieces of the object back to Earth? If so, where are they now? And why were they hidden? A few lines later in the same document, a short note appears. Biological check? No active organisms detected. Biological check? Why would they test a metallic object for biology? Unless the structure wasn't just a machine. Maybe it once held something alive. This thought sends waves of panic online. Some people start to believe the object is a remnant of an ancient life form. Others think it might be a probe or a capsule sent from somewhere else. The next unsealed file adds more fuel to the mystery. It is a communication log between the Mars mission team and NASA headquarters. Several lines are redacted, but a few words remain. HQ proceed with internal scan. Mars team. Signal return. Repeating pattern. HQ. Hold collection until review. Mars team. It responded to thermal exposure. HQ. Stop. Do not continue. It responded. Responded how? The unsealed notes explain that when the rover used a thermal scanner to examine the structure, the object produced a short-lived signal almost like a response to heat. But the most chilling part is the final line in the log. This is not debris. Not debris. Not natural. Not an accident. Something created it. The investigation moves to another unsealed file that was hidden for nearly 2 decades. It describes internal teams arguing about what to call the object. Some call it a device. Some call it a capsule. One scientist uses the phrase artifact of unknown origin, but one handwritten note in the document stands out. It may be a message not written in words, but encoded in the structure, the material, the pulses. The next part of the unsealed report supports this idea. It describes a repeating electromagnetic pattern inside the object. When scientists analyzed the pattern, it matched mathematical too organized to be random. They found sequences of prime numbers, geometric ratios repeating intervals, fragments that resembled timed pulses. Mathematical communication is universal. Advanced species would use it, but the most mysterious part of the pattern was a small gap. Something missing? That's like receiving a puzzle with one piece removed. Was NASA hiding that piece? Or was the object itself damaged? The unsealed record continues with a section titled, Possible Interpretations. Internal use only. The interpretations are shocking. The object may hold historical data. It could be a damaged guidance device. It may represent a warning protocol. Device, purpose unknown. Recommend secure storage. A warning protocol, a device meant to signal danger? If that's true, then what was it warning about? Before NASA could finish analyzing it, the object's internal signature changed again. The record says the object emitted a faint flash of internal light, exactly the same thing the first rover recorded. NASA documents describe the moment. Activation triggered by unknown exposure. Likely incomplete sequence. Incomplete sequence. Does that mean the object needed something else to fully activate? Or someone else? The next part of the unsealed material is perhaps the most unsettling. It's a personal note written by one of the scientists working on the mission. We are dealing with something ancient, something that outlasted its creators. We do not know if activating it is safe. This suggests the structure is incredibly old, maybe millions of years. Older than human civilization. Older than any known Martian history. The scientist continues. If the device carries information, it may tell the story of its makers. Or their end. Their end. That implies whatever built the object is gone. The report then mentions a strange measurement. Radiation signature matches no known cosmic source. Meaning, the technology used in the object does not come from any system NASA understands. As the unsealed documents spread, people around the world begin to form theories. Some believe the object is a storage device left by an advanced civilization. Others believe it's a probe sent long ago to observe planets. Few think it's a warning from a civilization that destroyed itself. Some think NASA knows more than the unsealed files show. But the biggest shock comes from a final, unsealed note near the end of the document set. Secondary structure detected 14 meters below surface. Investigation postponed indefinitely. A second structure, buried deeper. Untouched. NASA postponed the mission. Why? Fear, lack of understanding, or orders from someone higher. The file ends with, Archive 7 closed. Await future instructions. Archive 7 was NASA's restricted archive for non-public anomalies. NASA closed the entire archive after this event. The world now realizes the truth. NASA didn't hide one object. They hid an entire discovery, an entire site, an entire story. By the end of part 2, one question remains. If one unsealed set of documents revealed this much, what would we find if all of NASA's archives were finally opened? We uncovered decades-old reports, secret communications, and evidence of something artificial buried beneath the Martian surface. NASA kept these pages sealed for years, not because the world wasn't curious, but because the truth was too strange to explain. The structure, the signals, the unknown material, none of it matches anything found on Earth or Mars. If these records are real, then NASA didn't just find rocks or dust. They found technology, something ancient, something not human, and the unsealed files may be only a small part of a much bigger hidden story. What else lies inside NASA's restricted archives? How many discoveries were buried behind black ink and sealed folders? And what happens when the next set of records is finally opened? Thank you for watching. Stay curious. Stay aware. Because the truth is out. They're waiting in the pages that are still locked away.